after the car accident. The man who hit me mistakenly called my crush, and she was live streaming. Hello, is this Haley's husband? She was in a car accident. The top streamer abruptly left the stream. The whole internet went wild. Who is Haley? I woke up in pain. I turned my head slightly and my eyes froze. A man was carefully peeling an apple. His strikingly handsome side profile almost made me scream. Oh no. Someone tell me, why is my crush, Rocky, sitting by my bed? Am I hallucinating from the crash? I rubbed my eyes in disbelief. Then I heard a voice I've been familiar with for 6 years. A voice I hear almost every day in his songs. Haley, are you awake? Upon hearing his question, I opened my eyes again. Our gazes met, and I hurriedly averted mine. 6 years later, we meet again, in such a messy situation. I clenched my fingers, stumbling over my words. You, why are you here? But the conversation was cut off by someone entering the room. Hey, you're finally awake. I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. Don't worry, I'll definitely compensate you. I recognized him. He was the taxi driver who hit me outside the airport. He kept apologizing, his tone sincere, without a hint of excuse. He was more emotional than I was. I wanted to stop his apologies, but he turned his back to me and looked at Rocky. Sir, I'm really sorry for hitting your wife like this. Could I get your contact details for the compensation? Wife? My eyes widened as I quickly corrected him. He's not my husband. The driver responded quickly. How is he not? I checked your phone's emergency contacts and saw you saved him as husband. What? My brain went into overdrive. He seemed to come to some conclusion and said, did you two have a fight? Listen to me, even the best couples argue, but they make up. Your husband seems great. He came within 20 minutes of my call and hasn't left your side since. Oh no. No wonder Rocky is here. It was that silly driver's call. This is mortifying. I wanted to crawl into a hole. The room fell silent again. Just as I was about to pretend to sleep, Rocky called out to me. Haley. I responded reflexively. Would you like some water? You must be thirsty. It seemed like he wanted to let the whole husband thing slide. I let out a sigh of relief and nodded slightly. He carefully helped me sit up. As he got closer, the light scent of his cologne filled the air. It smelled really good, light, and matched his vibe perfectly. He was wearing a silk shirt with the top 2 buttons undone. As he bent over to help me, the shirt hung low, revealing his defined chest. It was quite a sight. My heart started racing, my face uncontrollably heating up. I remember the last time I blushed. It was 6 years ago. After a party, I stole a kiss from him while he was drunk. Thinking back on it, I became even more embarrassed, unable to look at him. I kept my head down, taking the cup of water from him, sipping slowly. Haley, I heard I'm your husband? My brain exploded, almost dropping the cup. I panicked, my heart pounding out of my chest. In a split second, I thought of a perfect explanation. Rocky, don't misunderstand. I'm just a huge fan of your music, and you're known as the nation's husband, so I followed suit and saved your name that way. Worried he wouldn't believe me, I forced a couple of awkward laughs. Really, I'm just a hardcore fan, nothing more. Over the years, I've grown braver in many aspects of life. But after all these years, facing my crush again, I was still that timid 18-year-old, hiding my feelings, afraid to show them. After that stolen kiss, I felt guilty for so long. He was too perfect, so perfect I couldn't bear to let him be tainted by me. Well, the whole world has already misunderstood our relationship. I looked up, and Rocky smiled slightly, his gaze focused on me. His deep, soulful eyes made me feel uneasy, and my face flushed even more. I mumbled, I don't get it. He silently took my water, grabbed his phone, and after a few taps, handed it to me. Look at this, and you'll understand. Feeling nervous, I glanced at the screen and soon realized what had happened. When the driver called Rocky, he had been live streaming, and it was during a guest interaction segment. Rocky had answered the call on stream, and the driver's words were broadcast live. Hello, is this Haley's husband? She was in a car accident. The internet blew up. My name was trending in the search results. Hashtag who is Haley? Hashtag Rocky secret marriage. Honestly, I was stunned. I felt like my world was falling apart. I wanted to cry but had no tears, wishing I could live on a different planet. Taking a deep breath, I sincerely apologized. I'm so sorry for causing you trouble. Don't worry, I'll help you clear things up. Rocky's voice was gentle and calm, like a soft spring breeze. Haley, it's too late to clear things up now. The only way is for you to play along with me. I blurted out. What? He softly replied, pretend to be a couple. I froze, turning to meet his gaze just as his eyes met mine. My mind was buzzing, and my heart was pounding like a drum. It felt like winning the lottery, completely unreal. The opportunity one had always dreamed of was right in front of me. Deep inside, a voice was screaming for me to say yes. Rocky smiled gently. His smile was warm and sincere. In his eyes, I saw my disheveled, dirt-smudged face reflected. In that instant, a flicker of reason came rushing back. I shook my head inwardly. A lie is still a lie. One lie leads to countless others to cover it. If the truth ever got out, how much public scrutiny would he face? Would he be branded a liar? Beneath the blanket, my nails dug deep into my palms. I looked at Rocky apologetically. I'm sorry, I can't agree to this. I have social anxiety. Living under others' attention is terrifying for me. His eyes froze for a moment, and there seemed to be a flicker of sadness in them. Was that just my imagination? What should I say next? As I hesitated, he spoke softly. I'm the one who should apologize. I was too impulsive. I didn't consider your feelings before making such a request. The air became thick with silence. It was like a quiet night over the river Cam. I searched for something to say while Rocky rubbed his nose, then licked his lips. Did you change your phone number? I was lost for a few seconds before finally remembering. Oh, right. I changed it. My phone was stolen during my first year abroad. Since I wasn't in the country, I couldn't get the number back, so I had to get a new one. I thought I'd never see you again, and I didn't want to bother you, so I never told you. We started chatting idly, talking about studies and work. This was my first time returning home in 6 years. He offered me a slice of apple, his voice soft as he asked, "How long are you staying this time?" I answered truthfully, "I'm back to stay." I wasn't sure if I imagined it, but I thought I saw a faint smile on his lips. What about your mom? Did she come back with you? A jolt of unease struck me. Memories I hadn't thought about in so long suddenly rushed back. I remembered my first real interaction with Rocky. It was the first semester of our senior year. My mom came to the parent-teacher conference, and she wore a sour face the entire time. I had dropped from the top 10 to the 50th in our grade. After the meeting, once all the parents had left, she pulled me aside to the stairwell. I knew she was disappointed, and I felt terribly guilty. I hunched my shoulders, biting my lip, my hands behind my back, trembling. The scolding I had expected came crashing down on me. Haley, you've never had such a ridiculous drop in grades. What's wrong with you? Did you suddenly forget how to study? Are you slacking off again? If you don't want to study, I'll pull you out of school. Forget about exams, just go work in a factory. She grabbed my arm and dragged me down the stairs, as if she was really going to send me to a factory. I choked back tears, shaking my head vigorously. Mom, I want to study. I really want to study. She threw me off angrily, her eyes practically boring holes into me. She spat out one last remark and walked away. It's harder for girls to succeed than boys. If you don't work 100 or 1,000 times harder, you won't surpass anyone. No dinner tonight, think about that. I sat in the hallway, quietly sobbing. Just as I crouched down to cry, I heard some shuffling behind me. Then, suddenly, everything went dark. A large, thick school jacket had been draped over my head. I stopped crying immediately. Peeking from under the jacket, I saw a pair of boys' sneakers. My eyes traveled upwards until they met a familiar, kind face. It was Rocky, my new desk partner. I had a gut feeling he had overheard our conversation, but my fragile teenage pride made me try to cover it up. I lowered my eyes, scratching my head, awkwardly stammering out a lie. Just, too much stress from school. Crying is totally normal. Don't think too much of it, His response was brief, as natural as if I had just asked if he'd eaten. Want some gum? This one's so sour it'll make you cry even more. Try it? Before I knew it, a few pieces of gum were placed in my palm. He stepped back a little, leaning against the door to the rooftop, no longer looking at me. His gaze was now focused outside the window. His hair was a bit messy, giving off a carefree vibe. For some reason, I shot back at him, "Then why aren't you crying?" His expression darkened slightly, and with a teasing tone, he said, "This is enough to make you cry? I'm a man, after all. Crying must make people a bit dumb." I stared at him blankly, nodding, "Then I won't cry either. I'm a tough girl." He chuckled. I laugh. Is it that funny? Just a second ago, I was thinking how annoying boys were. The next moment, he extended his hand towards me, smiling so openly and honestly. The light from the window spilled in, coating him in an impossibly beautiful golden hue. "Haley, want to take a ride with me? Do you dare?" I should have said no. If my mom found out I didn't reflect on my behavior and instead went out, especially with a boy, she'd be furious. I should have said no. Mom always said I was born dumb, and I should spend my time on what matters most, studying. I should have said no. Mom didn't want me making friends. She said once I became successful, I'd have plenty of people wanting to be friends with me. But instead, the refusal that was on the tip of my tongue twisted and turned into, of course, I dare, Rocky. That was my first act of rebellion. Rocky's motorcycle was so cool, even more impressive than the ones I'd seen on TV. I fastened my helmet and straddled the bike. He turned around, unceremoniously grabbing my hands from behind and placing them on his waist. The feeling was firm and solid. Through his clothes, his body warmth was hotter than the summer breeze. My face flushed instantly, and just as I was about to pull my hands back, he shot forward. Fear overtook my embarrassment. I clung to him tightly, pressing against his school uniform. The fresh scent of laundry soap filled my nose. Haley, don't be scared. Relax and trust me. Usually, we barely talked. He was outgoing and popular with our classmates, always surrounded by people after class. Unlike me, who would quietly read or nap by myself. But on this ride, he spoke to me more than he ever had before. We'll speed up and pass that flashy sports car ahead. Can you feel how light your body becomes? It's because we're moving fast enough to leave our worries behind. Haley, when driving, you have to look forward. The world in the rearview mirror will only drift farther away. You can glance at it, but it shouldn't be your focus. You should be happy. Before I knew it, we were racing along a beautiful coastal highway. The sky was lit with a brilliant sunset, like flames burning fiercely, the fiery sun spreading across the horizon. It felt as intense and scorching as youth. The sun was about to disappear. On the beach, a newlywed couple laughed like overripe tomatoes, playfully chasing each other, blending into the scenery behind them. Nearby, a photographer clicked away, capturing every moment. Seagulls swirled above, flapping their wings, chasing their companions. The happiness before my eyes made my heart feel lighter. The salty sea breeze blew through my mind, clearing it. Just like Rocky said, it felt like all my worries had been left behind. Suddenly, Rocky shouted my name, Haley. Here. He raised his voice even louder, calling again, Haley. Listen up, and answer with the same volume. What's your wish? I hesitated. The next second, I heard his clear and determined voice. I'll go first. I want thousands of people to hear me sing, and I want to attend my favorite music school. All right, your turn. Was this a secret exchange? I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. I'd been raised to be elegant, never to shout. For a moment, I didn't know what to do. Rocky glanced at me through the rearview mirror, locking eyes with me. Don't be nervous. Just say, first, then try to say something else. Trust me, it's really liberating. With his patient guidance, I finally broke through the knot in my heart, embraced the wind, and spoke with the loudest voice I'd ever used in my life. I want to win a prize at next month's piano competition, and my mom will reward me with 2 hours of TV time. At the time, I didn't know that Rocky was also a contestant, the final one to perform. Before his turn, the other contestants' scores were already displayed on the big screen. I happened to be ranked third. In the end, he made a mistake and missed out on a prize. It wasn't until much later that I found out he had lost on purpose in that competition. I want to be back in the top 10 of my grade and get into the best university. Looking out, the vast night sky spread above the plains. I lowered my head and stole a glance at Rocky through the rearview mirror. His eyes were filled with the stars of the night sky, so beautiful that I couldn't tear my gaze away. A small part of my heart cracked open. Are you tired? Rocky waved a hand in front of me. My thoughts slowly peeled away from the memories and returned to reality. Since going abroad, I'd slowly learned to socialize. With the help of a psychologist, I gradually came to terms with things. I no longer pressured myself. My dad had died in an accident before I was born, and my mom, overwhelmed by grief, poured all her love and hopes onto me, wishing I could succeed beyond measure. Every minute of my life was meticulously planned. Even watching a school basketball game was a luxury. But I wasn't obligated to carry all of my mom's expectations, especially since her expectations were like a black hole, needing constant nourishment from my achievements. The more I fed it, the more it grew, expanding its desires. In the end, it required more and more stimulation to satisfy her dopamine rush. I explained awkwardly. The truth is, my mom didn't want me to come back, and we had some unpleasant exchanges. Rocky forced a smile, seamlessly changing the subject to something lighter. See, that's the good part about being adults. We can see through things, but choose not to expose them, leaving each other some dignity. Still, no matter what we talked about, we had to first deal with the trending news issue. So I brought it up, trying to appear calm. I caused the mess, so I should give the netizens a convincing explanation. What do you think of this clarification? We'll say we're friends, and I see secretly had a crush on you, so I changed your contact name. As for you, you had no idea and left early out of concern for a friend. The netizens won't dig too deeply into this. It won't really affect my life. Wrapping the truth in a lie. For someone with true social anxiety, it's nearly impossible to casually admit a crush out loud. I never imagined that one day, I'd be putting on my best act in front of the person I secretly liked. At first, Rocky refused. Luckily, he eventually gave in to my persistent persuasion and that of my late arriving manager. The clarification post was published. Netizens accepted it surprisingly well. After all, sincerity is always a killer move. Before leaving, Rocky pointed to the suitcase in the corner. I have several vacant houses. You can stay in one. It's just sitting there empty anyway. Think of it as a thank you for helping with the clarification. I declined. I had caused the mess, and it was clearly my responsibility. How could I accept his kindness so easily? Rocky sighed, crossing his arms over his chest. I've heard you say no so many times tonight. What? You went abroad and now we can't even be friends anymore? Or are you saying I'm the bad guy and you're scared of me? His eyes met mine, his brow furrowed slightly, and there seemed to be a hint of grievance in his deep, dark eyes. Scared? I wasn't scared of him, but of myself. Afraid that if I got too close, I'd become addicted to his goodness, unable to control my desire to possess him, to do something that would burden him. Afraid that even the last bit of sweet memories would slip away. But like that time I rebelled, I couldn't refuse his outstretched hand. All right, I'll listen to you. Consciousness drifted up and down, and I fell into a dream. A dream that took me back to the start of senior year in high school. The senior year classes were divided based on the joint exam scores from the previous year. I found a seat, cleaned the desk and chair, and had just taken out my textbook when a pair of attractive hands tapped lightly on the desk in front of me. A magnetic voice followed, saying, "Hey, could you move the chair a bit? I need to get through." I looked up, and there stood a tall, leggy guy with fine features. He had a bag slung across his shoulder, a lollipop in his mouth, and earphone wires casually hanging around his neck. He looked a little hard to approach, but soon enough I realized I was overthinking it. That very day, his friends came over to chat, and a few boys were enthusiastically talking by the window. Their voices were so loud, it was hard for me to focus on my studies. Honestly, they were even chattier than the girls, and it was so noisy that I couldn't concentrate on anything. I furrowed my brow, staring at a page of English vocabulary, my pen tapping repeatedly on the table, unable to flip the page. Suddenly, I felt a chill down my spine, as if someone was watching me. The next moment, I heard the sound of books being slapped against the table. I turned around just in time to see Rocky hitting those boys with a book. His eyes sharp, he said in a frustrated tone, "We're in senior year. Can't you be a bit more self-aware? Talking about nothing. Get back to your own class. If I don't make it to the top 10, don't even think about coming to find me again." With a loud bang, he shut the window, cutting them off completely. I couldn't help but be amazed at how considerate he was. Such a good guy to his friends, speaking the most motivational words in the most aggressive tone. "Did they disturb you?" He scratched his nose, his ears slightly red, looking a bit awkward. That was the second time he spoke to me. How could I call his righteous scolding a disturbance? I shook my head, unable to find the right words. He didn't say anything more. I thought he'd bury his head in his books after that, but instead, he put on his earphones and fell asleep right away. Weren't we supposed to be studying? How did he just doze off like that? From that day on, people still came to look for him, but he disappeared as soon as class ended. Gradually, those people stopped coming altogether. The gap between our desks was like an invisible boundary, and neither of us made an effort to cross it until the day he saw me crying. After riding bikes during lunch break, I overheard a few girls talking about Rocky while getting water. He's handsome, sure, but I've heard he's got a bad temper, not easy to talk to. Yeah, too cold. His eyes look icy when he's not smiling, but when he does smile, you'd want to give him the whole world. I frowned, puzzled. Maybe they misunderstood Rocky and judged him unfairly. Back in the classroom, everyone had gone somewhere, leaving just Rocky and me in the empty room. I was focused on solving a tough math problem when suddenly, a crisp sound broke through the silence, something hitting the chair leg. I followed the sound and saw a sliver of sunlight gliding over the back of Rocky's head. The earphone wire from his right ear had fallen, hitting the chair leg. He looked so peaceful in his sleep, lips curled into a smile. He was so good-looking, it was almost bewitching. I swallowed, unable to resist moving closer. I stared, frozen in place, my breath growing quick. Then, unfortunately, Rocky opened his eyes. In a panic, I leaned back too quickly, lost my balance, and almost hit the ground. Rocky was quick to react, grabbing my hand and pulling me into his arms. My heart nearly stopped from the shock, and I jumped up, quickly returning to my seat. "Did you need something?" I saw a hint of red on the tips of his ears.
Oh no.
Caught red-handed, staring at him. Embarrassed beyond words, I lied again. "Your earphone fell. I was just picking it up for you." "Oh, do you want to listen to some music?" He didn't seem to mind my rudeness at all. "Can I?" I had been curious about what he was listening to that made him smile in his sleep. Rocky leaned over slightly, and before I knew it, he had placed his right earphone in my ear. An unfamiliar melody flowed into my brain, unexpectedly catchy. After about 10 seconds, a familiar voice broke in. I looked up in surprise, and Rocky's eyes sparkled with amusement, as if waiting for my reaction. The singing was a bit raw in technique, but full of emotion, stirring something deep inside. I sincerely said, "Rocky, you're going to be a great singer." That opened the floodgates. The sunlight was just right, gentle without being blinding. The wind brushed past us like a girl's soft hands, and Rocky, in his warm and cheerful voice, passionately shared his dreams of music. It was so pleasant, just listening to him was a joy. I once heard someone say that dreamers have stars in their eyes. That must have been true for Rocky at that moment, his clear eyes shining, a touch of pride in them. I listened without distraction, like a devoted pilgrim, feeling a growing sense of admiration. I was envious. I wished I could be a dreamer too. But sadly, I didn't know anything and couldn't see myself clearly. Awake from the dream, I checked my phone. It was 4 a.m. Tossing and turning, I couldn't fall back asleep. I grabbed my earphones and connected them to my phone via Bluetooth. I opened my playlist, and when I saw the name Rocky, my finger hesitated for a moment. But I still pressed play on Rocky's "The Child That Will Grow." God knows, in these past few years abroad, whenever I was at my breaking point, I would listen to this song over and over again. This song isn't one of the popular tracks in Rocky's catalog. It's not about love, but rather about self-rescue and personal growth. The lyrics quote a passage from The Unbearable Lightness of Being. "From now on, I will carefully choose my life. I will no longer allow myself to be lost in various temptations. I hear the call from afar, no longer concerned with the rights and wrongs, the gossip behind me. I have no time for the past. I must move forward. Yes, look ahead, hold on. Hold on until the season of spring blossoms and reach the place filled with lights." In the first 18 years of my life, I lived like a puppet, trapped in a box, following a preset path, day after day, year after year. Yet even though I obediently followed the plan without any complaints, I ended up being the biggest joke of all. My mother said, if life in these 18 years was a circle, my endpoint was the college entrance exam. While others served the people, she served my college entrance exam. And what was the result? All my efforts couldn't compare to her one sentence. "Mom's found true love. We're immigrating abroad, so you don't need to take the exam anymore." In that instant, my mood plummeted. It was worse than feeling like the sky had fallen. Why? She could decide when I should take the exam, and when I shouldn't. "Mom, what do you take me for? A ridiculous clown? Your toy?" For 365 days, even when I was sick, I didn't slack off for a single moment. Yet you just brush it off with one sentence, and then ask if I'm happy? Should I be happy? If you were so capable, why didn't you tell me earlier? Do you know how hard it's been for me? Do you know how much I envied other people's mothers? That day, I ran out in a daze. I wandered aimlessly through the streets, feeling like my presence didn't matter to the world. I don't know how long I walked, but suddenly, the sky began to rain. Raindrops beat down on the eaves of the buildings, urging passers-by to quicken their pace. What a coincidence, you're taking shelter from the rain here too. I turned around. The headlights of a motorcycle shone on me. Through the hazy rain, I recognized him. It was Rocky. His hair was disheveled from the wind and rain, and his light beige shirt was half soaked, his muscular frame vaguely visible. I greeted him politely. "Hi, Rocky." He pulled up next to me and asked, "Do you need a ride? I've got a raincoat." "No, it's fine. I'll wait a bit longer. The rain will clear up. You go ahead." I waved him off, signaling goodbye. Rocky didn't leave, instead parking his bike on the side of the road and running under the same roof with me. I glanced at him curiously, but he avoided my gaze, sounding a bit awkward. "It's raining. I might as well listen to it for some inspiration. You know, as a musician, we need to listen to the sounds of nature. You get it, right?" I didn't, but it sounded interesting. He stood near the edge of the roof, keeping a distance between us that could fit two people. Raindrops fell from the roof onto his hand. Maybe it was the rain that brought people closer. because I couldn't help but want to remind him. But just as I was about to speak, I caught him staring intently at me. Our eyes met. An awkward moment passed. We smiled at each other, sharing the awkwardness, and looked back at the rain. I whispered, "Step a little closer, don't stand in the rain." He responded slowly, "Oh, it's fine. I didn't want to get you wet." I was taken aback for a moment and said no more. Puddles had formed everywhere on the ground, like tiny mirrors. Bored, I quietly studied his reflection in the puddle. Great bone structure, sharp brows, and bright eyes. The boy standing beside me seemed almost too perfect, like something unreal, like the puddles, disappearing as soon as the sky clears. Immigration? Wouldn't that mean I wouldn't see him anymore? A wave of sadness slowly crept up inside me. I secretly sketched his image on the back of my hand, line by line. After this brief moment, we'd have to say goodbye. Just like two lines crossing once, then parting, heading toward our own separate lives. But why did it hurt so much? Why did I feel so overwhelmingly sad, like all my strength had drained away? I didn't even notice when the rain stopped. "Haley, would you like to come to the piano room and relax for a bit?" At some point, Rocky had bent down in front of me, his eyes fixed on mine, as if he could see right through me. Was my sadness that obvious? Could he have noticed? I panicked and instinctively stepped back, my leg bumping into a stone pillar. "So clumsy, Haley." I gave him an awkward smile, my body tensing up, and I started rambling. "Oh, the rain stopped. No, it's okay, I'm fine. But, oh, I do have some time today. Goodness, Haley, you're embarrassing yourself." At school's piano room, it was empty, with only a piano in the center. Rocky sat on the bench, lifted the piano cover, and soon, a light, cheerful melody flowed from the keys, beautiful notes dancing and spinning under his fingertips. His playing was both skilled and captivating, leaving me in awe. I couldn't help but wonder, why had he made such a basic mistake in the piano competition? It shouldn't have happened. A voice snapped me out of my thoughts. "Haley, would you mind playing with me? Maybe we can spark some new inspiration." He smiled sincerely, his lips curving up. The light outside the rain-washed windows cast soft shadows across his face. A stunning sight. Who could refuse such a gift from the heavens? The black and white keys shifted beneath our fingers, time slipping through the gaps like sand, vanishing quickly. There's research that says when you feel like time flies, it means you're happy. I had no reason to argue at that moment. Our final performance was Jay Chou's Secret. At the time, I hadn't seen the movie and didn't know the story. My only impression of the song was that it was a sad ballad. Later, when I went abroad, curiosity led me to find and watch the movie online. After finishing it, I was in tears, my heart heavy and unsettled for a long time. I also realized how perfectly the lyrics fit the moment. The most beautiful thing wasn't the rain, but the roof we once shared while escaping it. Perhaps fate's fortune only allowed us to meet. My body has fully recovered. I moved into Rocky's vacant apartment in the city center. Logically speaking, with his tour next month, he should be very busy. But instead, he keeps introducing me to doctors who treat social anxiety. Sure enough, there's a price to pay for lying. It's making me feel uneasy inside, but I can't find a better explanation, so I just reply, "Okay," stalling each time. Today, Alice, a friend I made abroad, invited me to a bar to relax and said she'd introduce me to someone. At the booth, besides the two of us, there was a younger guy, tall, long-legged, and easy on the eyes. Alice stood up and introduced him. "Haley, this is my cousin." He moo, like a moo from Border Collie. Ridiculous. Who introduces someone like that? "Hi, Haley. I've heard a lot about you. I'm Peter. Can I add you on Facebook?" The handsome young man's tone was soft and a bit shy, with flushed ears and clear, innocent eyes, like a naive boy. After we added each other on Facebook, he seemed excited, talking nonstop, drinking a few sips of wine here and there, and asking me for guidance in the future. He's in the same major as me, clinical medicine. Caught up in the atmosphere, I was a bit tipsy. Halfway through, I came out of the restroom, and suddenly, a pair of large hands pulled me into an embrace. Instinctively, I raised my hand to hit the person, but in the dim light, he removed his mask. "Haley, what a coincidence." It was Rocky. Was it my imagination, or did his tone sound a bit gritted? In a deep voice, he asked me, "Weren't you supposed to have social anxiety?" Oh no. I was caught red-handed. My mind raced, but it was still in a fog. Damn alcohol. The best solution, run. But I hadn't even taken a few steps before Rocky pulled me back. He tightened his grip on my waist and said sternly, "Haley, we need to talk outside." So fierce. Half of my drunkenness sobered up instantly. Is he under too much pressure recently? Is that why he's so irritable? In his van, Rocky coldly dismissed his assistant. Inside, the atmosphere was eerily quiet. I awkwardly smiled and fumbled for the car door handle. I think I need to use the restroom again. There's one on the bus. Rocky pressed the lock button, securing the car doors. He grabbed my wrist, cornering me as he looked at me with a complex expression. Haley, you still owe me 2 explanations. I froze, trying to think quickly. Suddenly, he let out a small, hurt sigh. Haley, do you hate me? Rocky's expression softened, and his watery eyes revealed a look of sadness. Like a puppy with drooping ears. How could I? I like you too much. Twisting my fingers, I bit my lip and took a deep breath. Sorry, I lied about the social anxiety that day because I didn't want you to get into trouble because of me. One lie leads to another, and I didn't want to make things difficult for you. He suddenly laughed softly, covering his face, mumbling something to himself. Like, that's great, what did you say? I asked, puzzled. Haley, you still owe me one more explanation, he said, holding up a finger with a mischievous smile in his eyes, and a hint of smugness. What else? I was utterly confused. When you kissed me, his tone was certain, no, very certain. My face immediately flushed red with panic. My first instinct was to deny it. I didn't. You were drunk, completely out of it. He narrowed his eyes dangerously, stepping closer. So I was drunk and you took advantage of me? We locked eyes. So close. Our breaths intertwined. Panicking, I blurted out, barely thinking. I didn't. I even told you beforehand, I'm going to kiss you. If you don't want to be kissed, open your eyes. You didn't, so Before I could finish, I realized I'd slipped up. Oh no. Why do I always become so foolish in front of him? Complete social disaster. Embarrassed beyond words, I squatted down in shame. A pair of warm hands gently brushed over my forehead and eyes, lightly, as if calming me. You. After 6 years, do you still like me? You love listening to my music. You even saved my contact as a husband. Can I take that as liking me, in the way one likes the opposite sex? He shook his head, his voice lowering, soft and tender. No, that's not the right way to ask. If I ask like that, you'll hide again and I won't be able to find you. He gently placed his hand over my eyes, his voice enticing and close. Haley, this is my return gift. Sorry for making you wait for 6 years. I'm going to kiss you now. If you don't want me to, just open your eyes. Suddenly, all my senses became incredibly heightened. Something soft, warm, and tender touched down, gentle, kind, and intense. It was like smoothing over 6 years of time, crossing oceans and deserts, embracing each other from afar. The confession. Rocky opened with, I like you. I liked you before, and I still like you now. I still couldn't believe my ears. Everything tonight was far beyond my understanding. Like me? Like what about me? What did I have that was worth his affection back then? Rocky noticed my confusion and smiled. Want the answer? The answer is at your place. Me? 20 minutes later, Rocky and I stood in the apartment he lent me. He pointed at a notebook that was particularly eye-catching near the entrance. Several times, I'd wanted to open it, but I held back each time. Haven't looked at it? I gave him a wary glance. You're the owner here. I'm just a guest. Why would I go through someone else's stuff? I don't have any bad habits. I'm not a voyeur. He swiftly grabbed the notebook, casting a shadow over my head with a gust of wind. It looked like he was about to hit me with it. But just as it was about to land on my head, he stopped, gently pinched my cheek, and let out a deep sigh. My happiness was almost delayed by you again. Forget it. I'll just go straight for the win and take you down in one move. I was shocked. What kind of wolfish words were these? He pushed me into the room, pulling me onto the sofa, holding me close in an overly intimate position. My face burned bright red. I wasn't used to it and tried to pry his hands off. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, strong and domineering, his head buried in my collarbone, and he growled, "Move again, and I'll kiss you. You're not sleeping until you finish reading that notebook." What is going on? Is this still the Rocky I know? Can I still return this product? Under the circumstances, I had no choice but to comply. I obediently opened the cover. The handwriting was bold, the content all about Haley. My heart felt like someone had softly tapped it. I turned to look at Rocky. What? Do I have something written on my face? I know I'm good looking, but you don't need to rush. He was grinning smugly, looking punchable. So arrogant. I turned to the next page. No date. Exam results are out. Got assigned to the same class as Haley. She doesn't know how hard I worked to get into Class A. Got up early to snag the seat next to hers. Seriously, how can she look so striking even in a regular school uniform? Is she trying to make my life harder? Those idiots in class are so annoying. She's not a zoo animal. Why are they all staring? Can't they look at themselves in the mirror first? Just wait till the results come out. They'll be crying. This tone is so nasty. So it's true what the girls said about him having a bad temper and being hard to approach. I elbowed the person behind me. He explained. Yeah, it's what you think. I wanted to get to know you, you little nerd. Oh, that wasn't getting to know me, it was lust at first sight. I kept reading. She's so aloof. Won't even talk to me. Am I that ugly? She was late this morning. It's the first time I've seen her eat breakfast at her desk, nibbling cautiously like a little hamster. Too cute. I nearly fell asleep during biology. Her hair is so long and shiny. I stared at it for ages. She was asked to read some classical Chinese. Her voice was soft, sweet, wanted to hear it again. Her mom made her cry. I promised to let her cry quietly for 3 minutes, but my heart broke before a minute had passed. I rushed out to comfort her. The handwriting continued, but the rest of the page was scribbled over with a black marker. Only one sentence remained. Haley, you have to be happy. 100% happy. I couldn't help feeling a lump in my throat. So, back when I thought I was a complete mess, there was someone quietly watching me, sincerely wishing me well. I didn't show you this to make you cry, silly. If you cry, I'll just have to kiss away your tears. What is with this man and his shameless words? I quickly blinked back the tears. Beauty attack successful. I knew it. Once I put in the effort, no one can resist this handsome face. She stole a glance at me, and I caught her red-handed. Heard girls like ambitious guys. I'm nervous. It's my first time sharing my musical dreams with a girl. Piano competition. I purposely messed up and lost. She's probably celebrating with her mom. I wonder what show they're watching. A drama, a movie, or a variety show. Was it good? If the earlier entries made me feel touched, now I was deeply moved. Just one passing comment from me, and he remembered it so well. He even sacrificed his own success to make sure I could celebrate mine. What did I ever do to deserve his affection? Warmth surged in my heart. It was raining, and I saw her hiding from the rain alone. In that moment, I just thought, no matter how beautiful the misty rain in the south is, it can't compare to the delicate beauty she carries. I couldn't take my eyes off her. I didn't want to do anything except stay by her side. There's a lingering sadness in her eyes. Did her mom scold her again? She's been nothing but obedient, a top student. What more could her mom want? If we have a daughter in the future, I'd pamper her properly. Me, I couldn't help but comment. Your thoughts in high school were so improper. All this nonsense. You're such a pervert. Rocky pinched my chin, raised an eyebrow, and gave me a playful, almost flirtatious look. That's perverted? Do you want to know what I'm thinking right now? I blurted out. What? He grabbed my waist and whispered in my ear, his voice husky. It's dirty, XX. The last 2 words are unprintable. His top-tier idol image, ruined in an instant. I blushed and smacked him with a nearby pillow. You shameless scoundrel. But I waited for you seriously for 6 years. Rocky grabbed the pillow, took my hand, and gently stroked it. I froze. Then I picked up the notebook again. After the college entrance exams, I pretended to be drunk and rested in an empty booth. She came looking for me and actually asked if she could kiss me. Yes, kiss me. Harder. I don't mind. I was so excited, but just when I was about to kiss her back, she ran away. She actually ran. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed up writing a love letter. Tomorrow, I'll ask her what she means. Does she want to be with me, or should I be with her? Her house was empty. Her phone was out of service. Neighbors said they moved, emigrated abroad. How could this happen? Little liar, didn't we agree to meet in Washington? It rained in my heart. It hurt so much. But because of her, I learned to love rainy days. I loved the day we played the piano while hiding from the rain. At the time, I had convinced my mom to delay our move abroad until after my college entrance exams. We left the day after the exams. At school, I didn't tell anyone, just like before. I told Rocky I had nothing new to study, but I could better understand the material by teaching it to others. I said if he wanted, I could tutor him. Every day, I watched him do problems, explained mistakes, and shared my unique problem-solving techniques. The day before the exam, Rocky smiled at me and said, "Good luck. See you in Washington." I hid my emotions behind my eyes and replied, "Yeah, you too. I'm sorry, I lied to you again." After the exam, I did something out of character. I went to the class dinner. Actually, I went to the booth to say a proper goodbye to Rocky. But the more I looked at him, the more tempting he seemed. Before I knew it, I'd forgotten why I went and kissed him instead. Before dawn, I boarded a plane overseas. Haley, be honest. 6 years ago, didn't you delay me? Rocky flipped over, looming over me with a mischievous grin, trapping me in the corner of the sofa. I felt like a criminal, sitting in the defendant's seat, being fiercely accused. For 6 whole years, you didn't call me once, not even a text. What, after going abroad? I've become too low class for you? Not good enough to be friends with someone as refined as you? I was so looking forward to your return, filled with joy at the thought of being called a husband, but you just crushed all my excitement. As a public figure, do you know how powerless and hurt I felt? I couldn't protect you well with your social anxiety. I even thought about how to arrange quitting the industry. Turns out, the things I thought were good for him caused him so much distress, almost making him quit the industry. I'm guilty. I'm awful. If it weren't for my cowardice and hesitation, he wouldn't have suffered so much heartbreak. I couldn't hold back my tears anymore, trembling as I whispered, "I'm sorry, truly sorry." Rocky lowered his head and kissed me, wiping away my tears. "I told you, I didn't show you this to make you cry. We agreed to be honest tonight. I've laid my whole heart bare for you, the good and the bad. Please don't cry, have pity on me. I've been single for so many years, can you smile for me?" He smiled warmly at me, mischievous and gentle. Such a tease. He was never serious when being sentimental, yet so incredibly tender when he was supposed to be tough. He held me close, kissing my hair, whispering brokenly, "Our Haley, you had it much harder than I did. I understand it all. Those 4 years, juggling academic pressure and battling depression, constantly reconciling with yourself. Even so, you were amazing, graduating with excellent grades a year early from your master's program. Building your own social circle, radiating academic charm." I was speechless, my mouth agape. Seeing the confusion in my eyes, Rocky explained, word by word, "I've been keeping an eye on you. Every June, I'd fly over just to see you from afar. Watching you space out in front of the hospital, rushing around with a stack of books, laughing with friends, or taking photos in your graduation gown. Watching you leave the old world behind and step into the new one made me genuinely happy. So many times, I wanted to approach you, to reconnect and take care of you, but I was scared, terrified I'd disrupt your life. I guess when it comes to someone you love, everyone becomes a little cowardly. So, I understand the careful way you used to like me. I don't blame you, really. But now that you've come back, can you stop being scared and just try to accept my love?" I was overwhelmed, truly moved to tears. Turns out, from the very beginning, I wasn't alone in my secret love. He was there, too, running alongside me, and it was mutual. Turns out, in what I thought were ordinary, study-filled teenage years, someone had been running toward me with all their might, loving me fiercely for so many years. I wiped away the tears, smiled brightly, and looked at Rocky with what I thought was my most radiant smile. If someone else saw this scene, I asked, "What do you think they'd say?" I paused, then tightened my arms around his neck. "They'd say we should just get married right here on the spot. I'm in, what about you?" Rocky's gaze darkened, filled with deep emotion. His answer was sealed in a passionate, fiery kiss. This love, which began with a long, unspoken crush, had crossed time and distance, culminating in an open, honest relationship that led to the altar. Although meeting someone too dazzling at a young age can leave an indelible mark, thankfully, the second half of life will be filled with happiness and dreams fulfilled.